Hello again. I have 3 book recommendations for this month, and I know you're going to enjoy all 3. The first one is by Emily Henry, and it's called Beach Read. I especially enjoyed this story because it's about 2 authors living next door to each other, and they're in constant competition with one another. The man writes literary fiction and she writes romance, and he thinks romance is just terrible. It's pulp fiction, and she thinks he is just way over his head. So they decide to trade. He writes a romance and she writes a piece of literary fiction. This reminded me so much of when Linda Lael Miller and I lived next door to each other. We would write our chapters and then trade them and read each other's work at the end of the day. We had such a great relationship, and I really miss having her as my neighbor. She moved because she said the neighborhood was going downhill. The next book I have for you is one by Amy Harmon. I am a big Amy Harmon fan. I have read several of her books. This one, called Where the Heart Wanders, takes place, it will not disappoint you. It is a wonderful historical. The thing with Amy is she writes several kinds of books. She writes contemporary books, historical books, paranormal books. Her talent is just amazing. This is a tender story of a young widow traveling across the Old West with a wagon train, and it held my attention every page. I couldn't hardly put it down. The last book I want to recommend is by Jonathan Cahn. It's called The Oracle. You may have heard his name recently because Jonathan Cahn was involved with a movement called The Return. And although this book is based in fiction, it's written as a fiction story. It's based in biblical truths. And it was just a fascinating read to see the different mysteries that are involved through scripture that equate to our world today. So I know you're going to enjoy all 3 of these books. So have a good reading month.